In 2015, I was on the hunt for a new summer job, so I applied to be a busgirl at a local diner. At this restaurant, the busser would greet customers, give them menus, take their drink orders, and clean and reset the tables. Sounded like an easy gig. I wouldn't have to interact with customers as often as the waitresses, plus I would get a cut of their tips. A win-win. My interview with the owner was less of an interview and more of an informal, hey, you basically have this job, so let me give you the tour and explain your responsibilities type of thing. She walked me into the kitchen and started to show me how the industrial dishwasher worked. Oh, well, I'm gonna be bussing, so I won't really need to learn how to use that, right? Actually, most days the busser is also the dishwasher. So, I'll be running back and forth between the kitchen and the dining room for my whole shift? Yeah. 2 jobs for the wage of 1. I really outdid myself. And it was as brutal as it sounds. I would carry heavy trays of dirty dishes to the kitchen, start washing them, hear the door open, run back out front covered in ketchup, sweat, and dishwater, and have to be polite and cheerful as customers berated me because the restaurant had Pepsi and not Coke. Oh, about that. Your servers do not control the menu items or how the restaurant operates. Did you hear me in the back? Yeah, you, on your phone. Pay attention. Sometimes I think it was a hard thing for customers to believe. I mean, how could I not be in charge? Walking around the place so confidently, with my shoes untied and my name tag on upside down. Which I rarely wore, by the way. I don't need to be on a first-name basis with people. That's gross. And I didn't really know any of the regular customer names either. That is not good because I worked there for 3 years. But I did know their drink orders. As soon as customers walked through the door, I could grab their drinks super fast and bring them over right away. See, that's Diet Pepsi, there's lemonade, Merlot, iced tea, and that's cappuccino. Actually, I take that back, I did know one of their names. A couple times a year, this eccentric woman would come in to eat with her friends, and every time I went to wait on her, I would have to brace myself because every time, she would explain her bizarre drink order to me. I'll have a Carol Carol. It's my favorite thing to drink. It's called a Carol Carol because my name is Carol. It's simple to make. You fill a glass halfway with Mountain Dew, and then you fill it to the top with sweet tea. I find both of those drinks atrocious individually, and mixed together they look like nuclear doo-doo water. Let me know if this beverage sounds enticing to you. I truly don't know. I had a lot of bizarre and specific drink requests, and I really didn't mind, but this one was just so odd and particular. I mean, it's weirdly bold to name a freaky drink after yourself, and then explain that to your server when you instruct her on how to make it. Maybe she does this at every restaurant and is hoping it'll catch on? In 20 years, I'll go out to eat and see that they have the Carol Carol on their drink menu. Huh. Well, I'm sorry I doubted you, Carol. I'm convinced that the drink orders are physically embedded in my brain and I am unable to forget them. I stopped working at this restaurant 2 years ago. This month, I went to the pharmacy and I happened to see a couple I used to wait on sometimes, and my brain was like, Cabernet, raspberry iced tea, Cabernet, raspberry iced tea. I wish I could remember actual important things, like when my bills are due. Even though the shifts were pretty short, they were exhausting, especially on busy nights. So every minute closer to closing time was another minute closer to me being stationary, in my home, so I could mentally prepare myself for the next night of food service toil. This is mean, but I would get this sick satisfaction from telling people we were closed and turning them away. Listen, taking a new table right at closing is the difference between me getting home at 9 or getting home well after 10. I wasn't allowed to vacuum the floors until all of the customers were gone, so that meant another hour spent hanging around in my ketchup sweat dishwater shirt. The general rule is that you shouldn't go to a restaurant less than 15 minutes before closing. I think most people know this, but some really try to push it. Once, a small army of people tried to cram their way through our narrow doorway right before we closed. Hi, do you have a table for 28? Like one singular table? The waitress literally laughed in her face. Even if we weren't winding down for the night, this restaurant had barely 28 seats total. That's another general rule you should follow. If you have a party of goddamn 28, call ahead and make a reservation. Don't just storm the restaurant and hope it'll work out, you silly goose. Alright, so this is my favorite thing that happened when I worked there. One time after closing, we were waiting for the last few tables to finish eating. We were all puttering around and trying to get a head start on cleaning up. One of the waitresses bent down to pick up what she thought was a stick lying in front of the door, but she snapped up and suddenly started backing away in fear because actually it was a snake. The waitresses ran around screaming while the customers had no clue what was going on. One of the cooks was this tiny 70-year-old no-nonsense woman who was very, very strict. We were always afraid of doing something to get on her bad side. But she wasn't afraid of anything, including snakes. She grabbed a broom and swept the snake back outside. Meanwhile, I watched the whole thing happen from a bar stool and did absolutely nothing to help. That snake had to slither across a big cement parking lot and under 2 doors to get inside the restaurant. Poor little dude probably came in looking for a bite to eat. Phew, finally made it. Good thing too, because I am famished. I think I'm going to get the special. I'm sorry I did that. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. Too bad he came in after closing, because we would have had to sweep him out the door regardless. Welcome to my end card, where I continue to link to blank social media accounts. And it's really embarrassing, and I'm embarrassed every time I do it, but I continue to do it. I'm working on other art and animation stuff, so I'm gonna have stuff to post soon, I promise. As much as servers like to complain, and believe me, I love to complain, the truth is that 95% of my customer interactions were good or even great. It just means that the weirdos and the bad experiences stick out in my memory more, you know? If you're looking for your first job, I would recommend working in a restaurant. I know I didn't paint a very pretty picture, and it is hard work, but it builds character, and it's important to build character.